We're looking at Jonah chapter 2 verse 8, and we'll look at 8, 9, 10, and 11. So I'll go ahead and read this. Bahit atef alai nafshi et Adonai zakarti vatavo elecha tefilati el hechal kodshecha. Okay, if we recognize this bait as a preposition before a hithpael form, here we have hit atef. There's our hithpael prefix. Our root is ataf. It's a fairly rare verb, and in the hithpael it means to be faint. The hithpael could be a perfect 3ms, it could be an imperative ms, it could be an infinitive construct or infinitive absolute. Because of the preposition, it's pretty clearly infinitive construct. Literally, in being faint upon me, alai is the al preposition plus a pronominal suffix. And then we have nafshi. This is from our segelit nefesh. Nefesh follows the segelit pattern, the malk pattern. Remember, with melik we have malk when we add a pronominal suffix. With nefesh we have nafsh when we add a pronominal suffix. So we have nafshi, my soul or my life. And so we have when my soul was faint upon me, or literally in being faint, my soul upon me. We would say when my soul was fainting within me, perhaps. That might be a good translation. Then the second phrase here, et Adonai zakarti. The et is a direct object marker, and so Lord is our direct object. And then zakarti. Here we have a typical perfect first common singular of zakar, to remember. So I remembered the Lord. When my soul was fainting upon me or within me, I remembered the Lord. Now come down here. Vatavo, the patach under the vav and the doubled prefix letter tells us that we have a vav consecutive imperfect, and with the tav we're looking at a 2ms or a 3fs since there's no ending, and bo is our root, and so we have tavo, something came, elecha, to you. What came to you? Well, tifilati, tefillah is a prayer, so tifilati, the hey turns into a tav, and we add the pronominal suffix on a feminine here, so it's my prayer. My prayer came to you. So this turns out to be a third feminine singular with a feminine singular noun. So we have, when all this happened, I remembered you, and my prayer came to you, el hechal kodshecha. We saw this back in verse 4. Let's go up there for a second. Back in verse 4 we have this phrase, surely or however, I will again look, el hechal kodshecha, to the temple of your holiness, to your holy temple. Now he repeats that phrase down in verse 8. We'll go back there. And so now he's saying, my prayer came to you, to your holy temple, or literally to the temple of your holiness. So let's look at the entire verse. Literally, in my soul fainting upon me, and we would probably say when my soul fainted within me, the Lord I remembered. I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came to you, to your holy temple. And that's verse 8. Let's go on to look at verse 9. It reads like this, Mishamarim havle shav chasdam ya'azovu. Okay, let's take a look at our first word here, Mishamarim. This is an unusual use of the root shamar. Shamar in the Cal means to keep, to guard, and several other things. In the Piel, it appears to mean something like follow or adhere to. And so here we have a Piel participle, the main prefix with the vocal shawat, and the plural ending. So we have a PL participle masculine plural, absolute. And so ones who adhere to, and then this is what they adhere to, havle shav. The segelet hevel is the word we have in Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 1, and it is repeated throughout that book, vanity. So hevel havelim, vanity of vanities. And so it could mean vanities, and then shav typically means something like worthless or pointless, vain, and as a noun, worthlessness. This could mean something like vanities of worthlessness or worthless vanities. Hevel can also refer to idols. Obviously, idols are vanities, but more specifically, sometimes it refers to idols in particular. And so we could have idols of worthlessness or worthless idols. So those who adhere to, those who follow worthless idols. Now here we have chesed. It's a little bit hard to tell with a pronominal suffix, but it is our segelet chesed. Chastam, we saw the malk pattern above, and this is the way a segelet works when you put a pronominal suffix on it. Chastam, their loving kindness, and then we have ya'azovu. Normally this vowel, the theme vowel, would reduce, but now we're at the end of a phrase, it's in pausal form, and so the long vowel comes back. Anyway, it's ya'azavu. Essentially, it is our kal imperfect third masculine plural of azav, to forsake. Third masculine plural goes back to this masculine plural subject here. Those who follow, those who adhere to, forsake. So those who adhere to worthless idols forsake their loving kindness or forsake their mercy. And that basically is the sentence. Those who follow after worthless vanities or worthless idols forsake their mercy. Okay, let's move on to verse 10. We'll read verse 10 here. Va'ani b'kol todah ezvacha lach, esher nadarti eshalema, yeshuata la Adonai. This is pretty clearly, this vav is probably the idea of a contrastive but. Verse 9 says, those who follow worthless idols forsake their loving kindness. But I, bekol todah, with a voice of thanksgiving, todah is thanksgiving, ezbecha, here we have a cohortative from the kal stem of zavach, sacrifice. I will sacrifice, or perhaps let me sacrifice, lach, to you. Normally this would be lacha. In pausal form we get lach rather than lacha. So but I, with the voice of thanksgiving, I will sacrifice to you. Esher nadarti, and here this is the idea of what nadarti I have vowed, eshalema, I will repay. Shalom it comes from the same root we get shalom. So shalom means to be complete, to be finished. In the PL, then it can also mean something like to make intact, make complete, or make restitution. So what I have vowed, I will make restitution. I will pay back. So this is a PL cohortative, notice the hey ending, from the root shalom. Yeshuata, this is a form of Yeshua, salvation, deliverance. Deliverance, this is literally to or for the Lord. We would probably just say of. Deliverance is of the Lord. Salvation is of the Lord. Now that's verse 10. Let's go back through it. But I, with a voice of thanksgiving, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will repay. Deliverance or salvation is of the Lord. We supply the is there. And then finally, let's look at verse 11. In verse 11, we're back to the narrative. The prayer is ended, and now the narrator is talking about events. We're back to this vav consecutive. Vayomer, let's read it. Vayomer Adonai, Ladag, Vayakeh et Jonah el hayabasha. And the Lord spoke, literally said, the Lord said to the fish, but we would probably translate this, he spoke to the fish, because nothing is recorded of what he said. So, and the Lord spoke to the fish, vayake, this is the rare root, it's a 2-yod root, and it's also a 3 aleph, so it's doubly weak. We have vayake, we can tell it's a vav consecutive, imperfect, because of the beginning. Trying to figure out what it is a little bit difficult. Because it's a vav consecutive, the tsere seems to point to a hifil, even though hifils and kals are quite similar, often identical, for these 2-yod verbs. With the vav consecutive, the tsere seems to point to a hifil, and a lexicon could confirm that. Yahweh spoke to the fish, and it, or he, vomited Jonah. Jonah is the direct object here. I'm not sure if one necessarily desires to be the direct object of the verb vomit, but anyway, it vomited Jonah, el hayabasha, to the dry land, or onto the dry land. We probably would translate that onto the dry land. So the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto the dry land. That's the end of chapter 2.